All right, back again with another Footy on 9 season preview with Nathan Brown. Brownie, a big off-season for Collingwood, wasn't it?
It was a massive off-season for so many reasons, and a few players have left the football club. Obviously, the highest profile of them was Adam Treloar. How can you cover Adam Treloar? I'm not sure. You got Tom Phillips, Jaden Stevenson, Tom Langdon, Ben Reid retires, so some big names going out of the pies.
Well, there were a lot of key forwards on the market this off-season, Jeremy Cameron, Ben Brown, but Collingwood really did nothing to bolster that area of the ground, did they?
No, they didn't, and they were a bit hamstrung with what they had to do because they had players going out. It was very hard to bring players in, and they had to sign up to Goey and also Darcy Moore, so the salary cap was a bit of an issue. They went after Jeremy Cameron early, but obviously we know that they didn't get him. Now, their forward structure is the thing that's going to make them or break them this year. Can they kick enough goals? I still think Collingwood's midfield is fairly handy and their defensive end will be okay, but can they kick enough goals this year? Their 2018 grand final year, they had 5 players who kicked 30-plus goals. Mason Cox, I think Mason Cox is underrated. I still think he runs under the ball a little bit, and people are very quick to blame Mason Cox when Collingwood don't kick a winning score. But I think in their forward structure, if he can try and kick 1 goal a game or somewhere in that 25 to 30 mark, but continually bring the ball to ground. The one thing Mason Cox can't do is get pushed under the footy. We saw that in the final against West Coast, came out the next week, learned against Richmond, and played a great preliminary final. He beat up on West Coast in the final last year in 2020. So he can do it, Mason Cox. So he is the pivotal person in that forward structure. But then they need those multiple goal scorers. They need Jamie Elliott to be kicking 30. They need Myerchick to kick 30. They need De Goey to kick 30. So if they can get that balance right, they'll be okay. But that is the big thing. Can Collingwood get that balance right in their forward structure?
You mentioned before that Adam Treloar was the big departure this off-season. Who do you see as filling his spot in the midfield this year?
Well, I keep hearing from Collingwood that they can cover Adam Treloar and they can cover Tom Phillips. I'm not buying that. I think any time that you take out an Adam Treloar and a Tom Phillips, Treloar's a gun, and Tom Phillips, he is a very good 4th, 5th, 6th midfielder. He is a hard worker. Now, I'm not buying the fact that they can cover that. That's what Collingwood are saying publicly, but I don't think they really wanted to get rid of those players, and now they're trying to say that, okay, we can cover them. Well, who are they going to cover them with? I don't think they've got an Adam Treloar. I don't think they've got a running machine like Phillips. I think Dacos is the next one who steps up. I think he is going to be a gun. I think he's the one that can take over a little bit, but he's still a smaller player. He doesn't have the size of Treloar. He doesn't have the size of Phillips, but for me, the one that steps up is Dacos.
Well, Jordan De Goey might be one of those options to replace Treloar in the midfield. Do you see his best footy being as a forward or a mid?
Jordan De Goey's best position is both in the midfield and forward. I think he's a gun. He's such an elite midfielder when he's on the burst around stoppages. So Collingwood need that. They need that burst out of the midfield because they don't have a lot of quick players in there. Penderbury, he's a maestro. He can do everything, but he's still not a quick player. Taylor Adams doesn't burst out of the middle. So they need that ballistic ball movement that I think Jordan De Goey gives them. Maybe a 50-50 split because I think Jordan De Goey, if he played the whole game in the forward end, he's going to kick 2 or 3 goals. I think he'll average 2 or 3 for the year. I think if he plays 50% midfield and 50% forward, he's still going to average those 2 or 3 goals. I think it's so advantageous to get running and get some air in your lungs up in the midfield, then go and rest forward, and that's where you can do your damage. He's a gun.
Well, we'll get onto your predictions soon, but just quickly, Nathan Buckley, do you see a bit of pressure on him to perform this year?
Well, there's always pressure on the coach of the Collingwood Football Club. They are the biggest club in the land, in the biggest sport in Australia, and Nathan Buckley's the coach of that. But in saying that, Nathan Buckley's demeanour never changes. He's always cool, he's always calm, and you don't meet too many better guys in football. So I'm barracking for Nathan Buckley to do well this year.
All right, on to the predictions now. Who do you see as the big improver at Collingwood?
I've got 2 players that I think can take a quantum leap this year. I've already discussed Dacos, so I think Dacos, he's got all the tricks. He's a clean player. He's a one-grab player, kicks goals, runs and carries and uses it really well. And off the half-back flank, Isaac Quainer. I think he's going to be a gun. I love the way he gets the ball. He runs straight. He's an 80-metre player. He runs 30, kicks at 50, plus he can lower his eyes. So I think those 2 players are going to explode.
A lot of eyes on Collingwood this year. Who do you see as the pressure being on?
I think the pressure this year is on the Collingwood Football Club in general. I mean, they've had a massive off-season with everything that's gone on. It's been well documented, so the whole pressure comes on the biggest club in the land.
Well, they just scraped into finals last year. Do you see a repeat this year?
8 to 10. I think they can make the finals, but if they do, it's going to be that bottom part. It's going to be 8th position, so 8th to 10th for Collingwood. Everything has to go right, but it all revolves around can they kick enough goals.